Don't get in the car. The desperate scream shattered the morning calm like glass. Everyone in the parking lot froze. The words didn't sound like a request, they sounded like a warning. The kind of cry that comes from deep fear, the kind that makes your blood run cold. Richard Langston, the CEO of Langston Industries, turned around sharply, his hand still gripping his car door handle. He frowned when he saw who had yelled. It wasn't a security guard, not a bodyguard, not a colleague, just the janitor. Sam Cooper, the quiet, tired man who mopped the floors after everyone left, who nodded politely to executives in the hallway but never dared to speak. Now he was running toward Richard like his life depended on it. Don't touch the car, Sam shouted again, breathless. Security guards moved fast, thinking the janitor had lost his mind. But just as they reached him, a faint clicking sound came from beneath the CEO's sedan. A strange, rhythmic tick-tick-tick, barely audible but chilling. Then one of the guards crouched down to check. His eyes went wide. Sir, there's something under your car. Everyone's faces turned pale. Richard stepped back, confusion turning into shock as the guard whispered, "It's a bomb, sir." The world seemed to stop. If Sam hadn't screamed, if Richard had opened that door just seconds earlier, he would have been gone. Sam Cooper never wanted attention. He worked quietly, kept his head down, and did his best to finish each shift before the morning rush. He had a daughter, 8-year-old Emily, who meant everything to him. Since his wife, Lisa, had died from cancer 3 years earlier, Sam's world had revolved around keeping Emily fed, clothed, and safe. He worked 2 jobs, janitor by night, delivery driver by day. Sleep was a luxury. He'd often doze off on the bus, clutching a lunchbox that Emily had decorated with stickers. That morning, Sam's shift had technically ended at 5 a.m. but when his supervisor called in sick, Sam stayed late to help. He was mopping the lobby floor around sunrise when he noticed something strange through the glass doors, 2 men in dark coats near the executive parking area. They looked out of place. Nervous. One of them crouched near a black luxury car, the CEO's car. Sam squinted. He couldn't see clearly, but the man seemed to be attaching something underneath. Then the pair quickly walked away. Sam froze, his mop dripping water onto the marble floor. His gut twisted. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was just his imagination. But something in his chest told him otherwise. He couldn't shake the feeling. He'd lost his wife because he ignored early warning signs. He'd promised himself never again to stay silent when something felt wrong. So he ran outside. He didn't care if he'd get fired. He didn't care if people laughed at him. He sprinted toward the CEO's car, shouting at the top of his lungs, "Don't get in the car." That one act changed everything. Minutes later, the bomb squad arrived. They confirmed Sam's fear. A small explosive was rigged beneath the sedan. A delayed detonation, likely triggered by the car door or ignition. Richard Langston would have died instantly. When the police questioned Sam, he explained what he saw, humble and honest. Cameras flashed, reporters started to arrive, but Sam only asked to go home. He said he had to get to his daughter. Later that day, Richard couldn't stop thinking about the janitor. He'd built a billion-dollar company from nothing, prided himself on reading people, but he'd never noticed Sam. Not once. The man who emptied his trash, who polished his office floors every night, had just saved his life. So Richard asked to see him. When Sam walked into the CEO's office that afternoon, his uniform was still damp, his shoes squeaked slightly on the carpet. He looked nervous, standing awkwardly near the door, cap in hand. "Please, sit," Richard said. Sam hesitated. I'm fine standing, sir." Richard studied him. The man looked exhausted, but his eyes were kind. "Honest. You saved my life today, Sam. You risked yours without thinking twice." Sam shrugged. Anyone would have done the same. "No," Richard said quietly. "Not everyone would." Silence hung for a moment. Then Richard leaned forward. "Tell me, Sam, why were you still here this morning?" Sam hesitated, then answered softly, "Overtime. My daughter's sick. She needs heart medication. I can't afford to miss hours." Richard's expression changed. "You have a daughter?" "Yes, sir. Emily. 8 years old. She's my whole world." Sam smiled faintly, but his voice cracked. "I just try to keep things together, you know?" Richard looked away, his chest tightening. He'd lost his wife years ago, too. He knew that emptiness, that desperation to protect your child from everything you couldn't control. He reached into his drawer, took out a blank check, and began to write. Sam tried to protest. "No, sir, please, I didn't do it for money." "I know you didn't," Richard replied gently. "But you deserve this." When Sam opened the envelope later that evening, his hands trembled. Inside wasn't just a check, it was a letter. Handwritten. "Sam, you saved my life today. Let me return the favor in the only way I can. Enclosed is full payment for Emily's treatment at St. Mary's Hospital. I've also arranged a scholarship for her future education. She'll never have to worry again. Thank you for reminding me what real courage looks like. Richard Langston." Sam sank to his knees right there on his porch, tears streaming down his face. His daughter peeked out the window, confused. "Daddy, what's wrong?" He smiled through the tears. "Nothing, baby girl. Nothing's wrong anymore. Emily's surgery was a success. The doctors called it a miracle. Her heart healed stronger than ever." When she woke up, the first person she saw was her father, holding her hand. "Daddy," she whispered weakly, "you look tired." Sam chuckled, brushing her hair gently. "Maybe, but it's the happiest tired I've ever been." A few moments later, Richard walked into the hospital room. Not as a CEO, not as a man in a suit, but as a father. He brought flowers and a teddy bear for Emily, who smiled shyly. "Thank you, sir," Sam said quietly. Richard shook his head. "No, Sam, I'm the one who should thank you. You saved my life, and reminded me what matters." Months passed. Sam returned to work, but his life was different now. Richard promoted him to facility manager, doubling his salary. Emily went back to school, healthy and happy. One afternoon, Richard invited Sam to his home for dinner. It wasn't about gratitude anymore, it was friendship. Their children played together in the backyard while the two fathers talked. "You ever think about that morning?" Richard asked. Sam nodded slowly. "Every day. I still hear it sometimes, that ticking. The sound of what could have been." Richard looked out the window at their kids laughing. "Funny how life works," he said softly. "I used to think success was about money, power. But that morning taught me something else." Sam tilted his head. "What's that?" Richard smiled. "That real success is surviving the storm, and helping someone else through theirs." Sam looked at his daughter, her laughter echoing through the yard. His eyes glistened. "Guess we both made it through." Richard nodded. "Because you cared." As the sun dipped below the skyline, painting the world gold, the two fathers stood side by side, once divided by class, now united by gratitude. The janitor who yelled, "Don't get in the car," had saved more than a life that day. He had reminded the world that heroes don't wear suits. They wear humility, love, and the courage to speak when it matters most. And that one shout, born from instinct and heart, echoed through both their lives forever.